The Power of Now. Eckhart Tolle. Imagine you're standing in your kitchen on a quiet Sunday morning, sunlight filtering through the window as you prepare your coffee. Your hands move through familiar motions, but your mind races elsewhere, replaying yesterday's conversation, planning next week's meetings, cycling through an endless loop of mental chatter. In this simple moment, you exist in two places at once. Your body present in the kitchen, your consciousness scattered across time. This split reveals one of the most profound questions of human existence. Where exactly are you living your life? The Power of Now presents a deceptively simple yet revolutionary premise: that true peace and fulfillment exist only in the present moment, and that most human suffering stems from our persistent escape from this eternal now. Tolle's insight cuts through centuries of philosophical complexity to offer something both ancient and urgently modern: a pathway back to the only time that actually exists. In our hyperconnected age, where notifications fragment our attention and anxiety about the future mingles with regret about the past, this teaching feels less like spiritual luxury and more like essential survival wisdom. The journey begins with recognizing what Tolle calls the pain body, that accumulated reservoir of unprocessed emotional hurt that lives within your psyche like a shadowy companion. Think of it as an invisible entity that feeds on negativity, growing stronger each time you revisit old wounds or manufacture new suffering through mental time travel. The pain body doesn't want you present because presence dissolves its power. It thrives when you're lost in stories about how you've been wronged or fears about what might go wrong. You might notice this phenomenon during an argument with someone you love. Suddenly, you're not just discussing the current disagreement, you're relitigating every past conflict, every disappointment, every accumulated grievance. The pain body has awakened and taken control, transforming a present moment interaction into a battlefield of historical wounds. Recognition of this pattern becomes the first step toward freedom. When you can observe the pain body rather than identify with it, you begin to reclaim your conscious presence. The mind itself, Tolle suggests, has become humanity's greatest tool and most dangerous master. Your thinking mind excels at solving practical problems, planning necessary actions, and processing information. But somewhere in human development, you began mistaking this mental activity for your essential self. You started believing that the voice in your head, that constant commentator, judge, and storyteller, was you. This identification with thought creates what might be called a case of mistaken identity on a global scale. Consider how your mind treats the present moment. It rarely finds now sufficient or interesting enough. It dismisses this moment as merely a stepping stone to somewhere better, more important, more fulfilling. Your mind promises that happiness awaits in the next achievement, the next relationship, the next solved problem. This mental addiction to elsewhere keeps you perpetually absent from the only place where life actually unfolds, where love actually exists, where peace actually resides. The alternative Tolle offers involves a radical shift in perspective, learning to observe your thoughts without being consumed by them. Imagine standing beside a river, watching the current flow past. You can see the water moving, notice its patterns and rhythms without jumping in and being swept away. Similarly, you can learn to witness the stream of mental activity without losing yourself in its turbulence. This observational stance reveals something extraordinary. You are not your thoughts, you are the awareness that perceives them. Inner body awareness provides a practical gateway into presence. Your body exists only now. It cannot be anywhere else. When you shift attention from the mental realm to the subtle energy field that animates your physical form, you anchor yourself in the present. This isn't about intense physical sensation, but rather a gentle attunement to the aliveness that flows through you. You might sense it as a tingling in your hands, a warmth in your chest, or simply an indefinable sense of being embodied. This practice offers profound relevance for our digitally saturated lives. In a world where virtual experiences increasingly compete with physical reality, reconnecting with your inner body becomes an act of reclaiming authentic presence. You cannot scroll through the energy field that animates your cells, cannot multitask your way out of the fundamental aliveness that constitutes your being. Perhaps the most challenging aspect of Tolle's teaching involves acceptance and surrender, not as passive resignation, but as conscious alignment with what is. Your ego mind constantly judges present circumstances, labeling them as good or bad, right or wrong, acceptable or intolerable. This resistance to what is creates an internal friction that generates endless suffering. You find yourself fighting reality, demanding that this moment be different from what it actually is. True acceptance doesn't mean becoming passive or failing to take appropriate action. Instead, it means acknowledging present circumstances without the overlay of mental resistance. From this place of acceptance, you can respond rather than react, act from clarity rather than confusion, engage with life rather than wage war against it. Like water flowing around obstacles, acceptance allows you to navigate challenges without the additional burden of fighting the fact that challenges exist. In our current era of global uncertainty, environmental crisis, and social fragmentation, these teachings carry particular urgency. Collective anxiety about the future mingles with grief about the past, leaving millions of people psychologically displaced from their own lives. The practice of presence offers not escapism, but engagement, the possibility of responding to contemporary challenges from a place of groundedness rather than reactivity. The key takeaways emerge with gentle clarity. First, that your deepest identity exists beyond the stories and thoughts that typically define you. And second, that the present moment offers the only reliable sanctuary from psychological suffering. These realizations don't require belief as much as experimentation. They invite you to test whether presence actually delivers the peace it promises. This exploration leaves you with a question that extends far beyond personal transformation. If enough human beings learn to inhabit the present moment fully, how might our collective relationship with each other and the planet itself begin to shift? As you consider this possibility, you might notice that even now, as these words reach you, the present moment offers its quiet invitation. Not as a destination to reach or a problem to solve, but as the eternal space where your life has always been waiting for you to arrive. In this recognition, the search for elsewhere gradually dissolves into the profound simplicity of being here, now, awake to the only moment that ever exists.